773-761-5586 can't answer this call right now. Please leave your name and telephone number, and I'll be glad to get back to you. Thank you.
Hi, Georgine, it's Rochelle. I'm about ready to start a midday's broadcast, and I want you to know that I have told a bunch of radio programs which have Chicago audiences included that you and my sister, Julianne Marie, and another old friend of ours named Nisa, and eventually her sister, and these other young women from our Margolian and Feldmarian families with their mothers and the young men can prevent a nuclear power disaster there. And it simply requires our gathering, is the way I've been talking about all along. Now, you know, I've been talking myself blue in the face about this. I don't want to use that word blue. We have enough blue in our culture. You know, I've been talking about this a long time, and everybody's been ignoring me. I know why, and I'm working on the underlying reasons why. It has to do with errors that I also made earlier on in our experience as family community, and that are still going on with other people. I have mostly corrected my errors, but other people are continuing to make the same errors. Again, embedded in patriarchy as opposed to parity. So I'm going to be broadcasting, and I'll leave a message eventually soon, within the next hour or so, on your extension, and also on the 2345 extension again. And I love you, and you know you can call me 24/7. This simply requires some cooperation and what they call agency on the part of women. In other words, action with integrity. It really isn't that difficult. We can do it, and then the young people will come in, and they'll be protected also. Vanessa and Harlan Lewis Leviz, and there's a bunch of others on this family tree, Marion and Marion's daughter Hadass, and there's many more, Soma, that are at risk, and they have any risk to any of them could trigger Let's start that in a minute again. Okay.
Celestial and God. No. Words. I should have said, oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. Look, I need to see what I've seen. I need to see.
These are the spiritual as much as physical voyages of the co-federation solar, sun, starship, planet Earth, restored to heaven on our every earth as our spiritual, genealogical, local, global, universal, Voyager, and shared her and his family community enterprise. Our new year's mission to rediscover and re-understand, sustain.
My family contains poetesses and poets,
in fact, failure, liberal,
musicians, artists,
of the tree of love, light, and light throughout the solar system and universe to restore, renew,
space-time travelers,
and sustain
secretary
our
generals,
life.
equinox true cues,
Present
as soon as
retroactively
they
now,
cover,
balance,
call one another.
to lovely GFL light, become and be space-time travelers wherever and where we can. Interdimensional reality, whatever part beautiful, but also forever beautiful. In alternative space-time that are circles, which are of the universal EQ, IQ, and SQ continuum. Balance, combinations of the ever-expanding circle which spirals and grows, budding and blooming in space-time. Love and live, enlighten every young man, and prosper all both in each and every one. Engage your heart, mind, soul, and body. For we all, both in each, and each, both in all, can, must, and marvelously and miraculously make it so.
In the thunder's blast, she emerges, her eyes on fire, the mighty priestess. She's risen from the nativity of Caldera. She is risen from the fires of the earth. She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen.
She is risen. She is risen.
We are risen.
May the stars of the old world
We all are risen via my intercession and your cooperation.
Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be. Mahalakshmi Mridakriya Maharupa Mahapurja Mahapataknashini Mahamaya Mahasattva Mahashakti Maharati Mahadurga Maheshwarya Mahavidya Mahabala Mahabuddhi Mahasiddhi Mahayogeshwareshwari Mahatantra Mahamantra Mahayantra Mahasana Mahayagatpramaradhya Om Mahabhairava-Pudita Maheshwara Mahakalpaka Mahatandava Sakshini Mahakavesha-Magishi Mahatripura Sundari Chatushshashti Upacharadhya Chatushshashti Kalamayi Mahachatushshashti Koti Yogini Ganasevita We
And our sisters and brothers too. Our young sisters and brothers starting.
Some celestial event. No. Once. I should have said, oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. The people need to see what I've seen. They need to see.
My family is filled with poetesses, poets, healers, musicians, anthropologists, co-secretary generals, co-secretaries, equinox truqueus, artists of all kinds, as we share the new millennial golden rule. Co-secretary generals, co-secretaries, equinox truqueus.
This day I call the heavens and the earths as witnesses intercessorily for and hopefully and prayerfully not against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose love and life with light, so that you and your children may live. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not our new millennial law.
Okay. I thought it was a trick. shift. Maybe tonight, sunflower, the killer tea and blacksmith. This is Anna Marie singing Christmas, and I am Cherokee, Cheyenne, Blacksmith, and Algonquin with Celeste. And I am also a French, English, and German. I have seen. That means we are all related. We embrace the new millennium goal through. It's the law of all changes of the sacred ground that is Mother Earth and all the planets of all the universe.
Welcome to our broadcast from the heart and headquarters of the one family of love, light, in the love and life in the light of balance of the co-federation of the new millennial golden rule of our Earth and all our planets. We are attempting to save humanity from its own vice, its worst vice, which is patriarchy, and bring all humanity eternal life on this and all planets. I will re-announce this in a moment. We're going to do our El Yuko Reall ceremonies. I also want to draw your attention that we have begun a hearing. I am acting as you would expect the savior of humanity to first savior. I won't say I don't do this alone. That's the problem. I've been doing too much alone. But as you would expect, there is a hearing. There is a hearing going on. It is before the highest court, that is before Mother, Father, Goddess, God. It has already begun. I am engaging in it here on these broadcasts, and we'll do a more complete hearing as soon as it's ready. I'm in preparation. It should be ready tomorrow or the next day very quickly, as soon as I can get my, you might say, my evidence ready. And what am I presenting? First of all, I'm using the rubric of 3. Well, I'll get to this in a moment. I'm going to make some outreach calls, and then we're going to, and in order to understand this, go to 5050now.wordpress.com. We do have our call-in line open. It's if you're outside of North America, it's 011 and then country code 1, and it's always 1 dialing long distance, 641-715-3580, and the access code is 773342. And we usually have it on during most of the broadcast, but there may be times when if you call in, if I'm not there, just wait and I'll come back to it. Sometimes I am doing different things with the phone and I have to leave the phone for a while, but if you can call back in or just wait. And Our hearing also is very direly to prevent the beginning of the end times catastrophes for this planet that we believe will start with a two ways that this would occur. There are two very bad scenarios. There's two. One is a destruction scenario involving the nuclear power plants, especially in Illinois. And the second, just as devastating, is a devolution scenario involving manipulation of genetics, as they do with GMOs, that would degrade humanity to such a point that we would no longer be recognized as humans. Also ending with extinction. These two scenarios are centered in Illinois. And we have called upon some of our family in Illinois to work with us, with other of our famous family connected to Lynn Margulies, the mother of the Gaia Effect, who was the wife of Lynn Alexander Margulies, who was the wife, well, she has 3 sisters who we've also been in touch with and are emailing, and a daughter, as well as other families of the Margulies heritage and interconnected families of these heritages and community who are in the Chicago area or come from Chicago. And maybe now in other places, including one who lives in Oregon, where we are also fearful on the West Coast of an earthquake affecting California and volcanic eruption in Oregon. Now, I recently learned, I knew it in the back of my mind. I'll get to this. I'm going to make some quick outreach calls and then just make sure that people know that we are broadcasting. Okay. Hello, holy baby girl. This is the midday's greeting. I'm holding up the glass of milk. I'm holding up the heart light and the marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers. And I'm holding up the cakes. There are the cakes. I think you and Nisa and all the whole group of you are in profound need of yin. I'm going to be leaving the message on 2345 of the ceremony with some other words of wisdom. And I've already, I'm going to be calling, You know, I've been calling people with other women on the line and addressing this issue of saving humanity from extinction or devolution. Either one is possible right now if the women do not gather to discuss these issues. And also, we have to hold some certain rogue male. There's several of them in our family and community system. In our own family and community system. It's not just the global one or the big kahunas. It's our family also. So I'm doing that, and I'll call back. You know, I've already called Hadassah and Marian and Fresh Maria and Daniel and Juliet and Stacy Anastasia and Cheryl. Many times I've called them again, and I'm just now now holding up the heart lights and also the marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and the heart light. Let me say that again. I'm holding up the marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and the heart lights, and also holding up the cakes. Now, I'm not going to go into a long message here at first. I'm going to do the 2345 line ceremony and make sure that everybody that I can let know right away that I think would be interested to come and is ready to come. And then I'm going to work on that a little bit more. But I'm holding up the cakes. And I don't want to leave a long message here. I want to do the ceremony first and have you listen to that, and then you'll get your message after I've done that ceremony on 2345. Of course, this is for Vanessa and Harlan Luzlovis, and Vanessa with all the circle. You know, the circle of our Julia Marie and Georgine and all of our Shekinas and all our young Shekinas and Hekinas. You know what I'm talking about. And their moms and aunties and all the great Shekinas. Hello, dearest younger generations. They are holding up the milk. Harlan is. Hello, dearest generations. There, Vanessa and Harlan Lewis Levis. Harlan Lewis Levis and Vanessa. I'm holding up the milk, and I'm holding up the heart, the marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers, and the heart light. And I'm also holding up the cakes, and I'm also holding up the cakes, and I'm going to leave a longer message after I leave a message on the 2345. You know, it's 2345 line. So check that, and then you'll check this line in a little while. Okay, we are broadcasting right now, and I'm about to do the LU Crusade ceremony. Now, I want to be sure that some of the most primary women that can avert the disaster in Illinois, there's two potential major disasters occurring in Illinois on the way. One is a nuclear power plant disaster related to an earthquake. The other disaster, which is more insidious, but is also underway, is a great destruction of the bees and the butterflies in Illinois and throughout North America. And you will know if that is occurring based on the statistics of what's actually constantly being kept. Either one of these disasters, if not averted, will mean the destruction of humanity. Either one. And one is more insidious, and I believe maybe already underway. We know that the destruction of the butterflies and the bees is already underway on North America. We already know that. There's a reason for this. It has very deep systems related to what our Kazina Lynn Margulies talked about. Everything on Earth is interconnected. Everything on every Earth is interconnected. Everything on every planet is interconnected. Now, you know that we believe in the Akashic record, that the universe itself is the presence of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God. Mother, Father, Goddess, God is in every aspect of the universe. There is nowhere that the Mother, Father, Goddess, God is not. But people, in their ignorance, all of us, sometimes act as if that was not so. And for a long time, people have acted as if there was no mother aspect of the Mother, Father, Goddess, God. One of the major reasons why our humanity is right now on the verge of extinction, and horror extinction, in either one of these scenarios. But this is very preventable because the universe looks for what we would call the re-evolutionary step. If humanity can get their act together enough to do something right with clear intention, then Goddess God will say, oh, let's give them another extension. They're getting it. They're figuring it out. Let's give them another extension. Let's keep this going. Let's help them cure the ills that they have right now, heal the ills that they have, and let them continue in their current incarnations and on this planet. And you have the option of also connecting with other planets. We are at the stage where we either die in our own waste, and that includes the waste of our own potential, or we become a universal humanity. We open the stargates and we have interplanetary travel. Those are our two directions. Right now, we are clearly dying in our own waste, and we are about ready to get to the point of horror and probably irrevocable extinction of the people of this planet, and the destruction of the planet itself in very serious scenarios. Now, you will know if you have a nuclear disaster. You may not know as clearly if the bees and the butterflies are missing. But you better know that, because your life will be even more horrible and the extinction process will be even worse. And these have to do with our women and our next generation, female and male, recovering from patriarchy enough so the women protect one another and their children, their youths, females and males, who are endangered in our family. I tell you, there's many young people endangered in this family because of what their mothers are not doing and not connecting with me and with their Shekinahs who they've known in their life, who are their neighbors, who are their friends, to avert these two problems that are so profoundly horrific. These women are also not discussing the potential of becoming equinox triques. They're not discussing what they have learned from the best, both mythology of every heritage and science, best science fiction based on fact. So this is why I'm doing these LU cathedral ceremonies, but I want to say something else. As you know, I'm doing something that I should have done on my birthday last year. I really should have done it on my birthday in the year 2000. And part of the reason this is so serious right now is my own failure. I did not really know what my role and mission was in this incarnation. Most of my life, I was a very good person, but I didn't think that I had to be the lead good person, or that my family had to be the lead good family. That didn't occur to me. I looked to other people, other families. I thought they were greater than my family. Now I see that is not the case, that it's my family, our interconnected family tree that I always talk with you about, that is the decisive family in terms of the future of this planet. And so you're much more important than you know, and you don't want to face it. I'll tell you why you don't want to face it. Because patriarchy convinces women of two things. Either they should be passive codependents and let men take care of everything, or they should imitate men and be like men and take control the way men have control. Both of those are the wrong answers, and they have both been promulgated by the interactive problems of my own and our own family and what arose in the media and political arena in North America. Those interacting factors now are like a terrible cancer that have mind programmed you all to believe that your connection is not important, to believe that you don't have agency, to believe that you can leave it to just mostly men or one or two females who rise to great prominence and you don't have to do much. Or, fourth notion, that there's nothing you can do. Then you just have to wait for the end. None of these are correct. The correct answer is what I have been telling you. Now, why don't you listen to me? First of all, you're waiting for me to hold certain older men accountable, more accountable than I have, and I'm doing that. And I don't blame older men. Older men are part of patriarchy because there was a failure in the women's movement in the United States right now. The older men went way haywire in our culture because there was a problem in the women's feminist movement of North America that repulsed a lot of men. And that occurred in North America for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's an extreme domination culture, also an extremely individualistic culture. That's what Alexander de Tocqueville talked about as being the most likely reason why the United States culture would eventually fall apart. And that is because of individualism. That is, that people don't cooperate that very well. And they don't hold strongly to clans or groups or neighborhoods or communities. That they don't. And that is a huge factor in what's occurring. Another big reason is this extremely patriarchal culture. The Dutch, the Spanish, all the Hispanic countries, and even the Canadians allow a woman upon marriage to keep her maiden name. And in the Hispanic cultures and the Netherlands, the men also take their wives' surnames. That doesn't happen in Anglo cultures, and it doesn't happen very often in the United States. And in the United States, only 9 states will actually allow a man to hyphenate his name to include his wife's. It's illegal for a man to do that in 41 states. That's patriarchal legislation. And if you think that doesn't have an impact on the way people conceive of their family tree, which is what this is all about. This is about anthropology and the way you see your family tree and who did what in it as important, and how to enjoy what ancient cultures did for most of humanity, some ancestor worship, as incarnations of Goddess God, as holy beings. Now this is why we're talking about opening the stargates. Your ancestors, if you can figure out the puzzle that I'm proposing to you, can become risen along with you. And you can have contact with them, female and male. But if you don't figure out the puzzle and you don't pay any attention to what I'm saying to you, you're going to die in your own ways. And either scenario would be terrible. And we have some very endangered younger people in this family. Hadass is endangered. Vanessa is endangered. Soma is endangered. Harlan Luz Laviz is endangered. Ross is endangered. Stacy Anastasia is endangered. All of these young people are endangered. And why are they so endangered? Because their mothers and the women that their mothers knew are not talking. Halal is endangered. Ashura is endangered. They're all endangered because the mothers are not talking with women that they know and have known about what is occurring in their world, and women who are directly in their family. And most ironically, Lynn's daughter, Jennifer, has 2 daughters and a son. And Hesperus and Athena and Atani are endangered. And all the children that Lynn Margulies had with Carl too, with before she married into the Margulies family. Those children, the Stargate family, are all endangered. They're all endangered right now because you ladies are not talking. Is it so hard to have a conversation with one another? Yes, it is. Why is it so hard? Because a lot of women in North America have the mother wound. A lot of them do. My sister has a very bad one, and I believe that many of you do. You didn't like your mothers that much. Your mothers weren't that good at mothering. And there's some other branches of our family, too, who have this problem. I saw it very, very clearly on some of the branches where I was connected by a premature marriage. Some of the interactions were very, very clear. There was mother wounds here. And as a result, women are reluctant to talk to each other and reluctant to bond and reluctant to do anything of importance together. As a result, the yang-yang process is coming at us like a bulldozer. So there's 2 bulldozers that are affecting us. One is the domination of older men. That's one of the bulldozers. But there's another bulldozer, and that is the vacuum of the conversation of women. And I believe that this has already endangered at least one of, maybe more than one of the young women and the men in this family tree and community tree. They're already down for the count. Something has gone wrong. There may have been a relationship change or a physical change or a mental change, a substance of harming them. Because their mothers are not talking to me and to one another and are refusing to do it. And their neighbors are not helping them. And the neighbors are staying out like bystanders, even though they know this is going on. And they know it endangers everyone, and they still stand out like bystanders. Now, I have announced on the radio, on 2 major radio shows that reach the Chicago area, that it is essential that Julianne Marie and Marion and Vanessa's mother and Lynn and Nisa and I and Georgine begin a conversation. If we don't want to start out with that group, we can start out with another group of you. As long as someone within this family system begins to change the process, and it also should include Anna Marie and Ma Patricia, because there was a Holocaust here originally before we came here, and it was a Holocaust and a true Holocaust of Native American people. So we have to have some awareness of this. We also eventually, as soon as we begin to gather, we've got people of different heritages in North America that have all known all manner of Holocaust and famine to the point of extreme decimation of their populations. We are on the verge of those kind of scenarios, and much worse. This planet will become extinct. And all because a group of women can't figure out how to talk. They don't want to take any responsibility. It scares them. Tell me, ladies, if you had a fire in your building today, would you say it's okay for the firefighters to say, I don't want to come in. I'm not interested in coming in. I'm not interested. Because that's what you've been doing at a slow level. It's like moving in slow motion, but it's exactly the same crisis. You're not willing to put out the fires. You're letting them burn. And you're saying, oh, the men will handle it. A couple of women will handle it. I don't have to do anything. That is unacceptable to Mother, Father, Goddess, God. Now, I know something has already gone wrong. I've gotten enough feedback from my synergies of the universe. I know something has already affected one of the young people I've talked about. And I've got to talk about them again so that I can resurrect that situation. And I'm going to do that next week and this week. I'm going to do that because I see that I left something out in my urge to deal with people who already knew me better. I left out some of the people who don't know me as well, but are centrally important. So I can't make that mistake. And again, and I'm going to correct that. Now, I'm also under some threat because we have some rogue males in our family, actually several of them, who over time have put me, as well as all of you, in a vulnerable position. And they are affecting the women who are very close in my family tree, and the women are themselves so mind-boggled by their own internalized patriarchy that they think it's a good thing. They're so inverted that they think it's a good thing that they don't have to act like adults. They think it's a good thing that the guy should take care of everything and they should just sit there and look pretty and decorate the house and let the world die. I understand why they think that. The media has promulgated that. And some of them are intertwined with the media, and some of you are entwined with the media. And as long as the media is in control of boardrooms and electric complex minions of women and men, who also are big henchmen types, just take the orders, whatever they're told, they do it, or else they get fired, so they just do it, right? So they just go along with anything, no matter how dangerous. This is what's going on. Our culture is in a profound titanic meltdown in terms of human relationships. We have to fix it, and I believe we can. I believe it isn't too late. I believe that the errors that I've made are not so final yet that they cannot be corrected this week, and I intend to correct them. So now I'm going to say something. I've been doing these broadcasts, and they've been taking up a fair amount of my time. Why do I do them? Because there's no one else in this world that is broadcasting to the entire world regarding the divine feminine and the necessity of divine democracy with full parity presence for women, and intersectional justice, and a change in the economic system to the genuine progress indicator and so forth. There's nobody else doing it, so I keep doing it, and I do it a bunch of times a day, but it takes up a lot of my time. And it's made it more difficult for me. That time factor slowed me down, takes up my thought process, and I don't have the time enough to reach out to some of the more prominent families that also are involved in making the shift that we have to make. And you know, I've mentioned some of these families. They're Celtic in heritage, and people of Black and African American heritage, people of Hispanic heritage, people of Chinese and Japanese heritage, Asian and other, and the Indus heritage, who live in our land. I'm slowed down because I've been attending to these broadcasts because none of you has been willing to co-host or co-hostess, and even my ability to invite additional co-hostesses and co-hostesses who I know are interested in working already on gender parity has been slowed. Everything has been slowed, and I've been slowed down to a snail's pace, and that is not good, and it is endangering everyone. So now I see, after today, I'm going to do much briefer broadcasts. I'm going to, for the next probably 2 or 3 days, I will do a very shorthand version of this ceremony because I have to attend to emailing in order to protect us all. You have no idea how close you are to incredible disaster. There's, like I said, 2, like you might say, points of no return coming. One is the potential of nuclear disaster, triggered by earthquakes, major earthquakes, or profound human failure, which can be occurring in several places, because you have to understand these are interactive factors, and when human beings encounter an issue of nature that they don't handle well because they're not functioning well, which is what happened at Fukushima, and also happened with Exxon Valdez, and also happened with the Titanic, because they're functioning under the pressure of patriarchy. It could be also a human factor. It could be a small incident, a very small tremor, but it might confuse the operator of a nuclear power plant, and boom, there you have the disaster. So that's one scenario. The other potential no point of return is if the bees and the butterflies are too low and they can't recover anymore, because you're letting old men run this GMO deal, and it's going on and on and on, and they just can't recover. And all you have is a scenario of slow, excruciating, painful starvation and death for all humanity. Maybe a little time of soil and green, and then all gone. Can you imagine that? Well, that's what you're building. And I'm terrified for it right now. And I think I have been too late, and I've tolerated too long being out of touch with certain young people's families that I need to be out of touch with, and specifically Cheryl and Vanessa's mother. Do you want all these things to happen? Because they will. Is all of that electrocomplex and mother wound important enough to act out without some understanding of that you can get from pure counseling and understanding how common this is? Do you need to act it out to such a point that you have to allow billions of people to die so that some rogue men can thump and saying, I know better and I know what to do. I'm going to protect you against that evil Rochelle. Because that's what's going on. So I hope you understand this. I hope I've made it very clear. You've got to come and co-host this. I have already put it out on 2 major radio programs that hit the Chicago area, that the women that I have named are essential to gather, and that it does have to do with rogue males out of control in our family community and in our culture. It has to do with the lack of parity and the continuance of patriarchy long beyond any reasonable fitting with the kind of times that we live in, and the kinds of technology that we live in. Technology, higher technology, and patriarchy are a cocktail for death. You can only have higher technology with balance. Then you have great future. Then you have, Stargate and Star Trek put together. But if you don't have that gender balance, it is a disaster. And that is what's been unfolding. And I don't know why this is hard for you to see. So I'm going to do the ceremony. And then after today, after this ceremony, I will continue to do the ceremonies at this time in the middays, but I will do them much more briefly and much more abbreviated for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, maybe less, until I can get caught up with the other communications that are necessary to prevent this. Also, the hearing. There's 3 rubrics I'm using on the hearing. One is a film called Defending Your Life. I have to defend my life because I made errors. I embedded myself more deeply in patriarchy than I was aware of, long past the time when I should have, and that drew other members of my family further into their own patriarchal processes. I was asking them to do otherwise. I was always talking to them about egalitarian life. But what I had done in the process of the family, who I had brought into the family, and how I had dealt with connections and not dealt with connections that were failing to form in this family, was error. And I made these errors. So I have to account for them. But even more currently, I have to focus on the errors of alpha males in overacting and doing too much and the wrong thing, and women doing almost nothing in terms of connection and prevention. Almost nothing. And all doing the wrong thing because the women are not talking about parity. They're not talking about the new millennial golden rule. And they're just sitting there and waiting for the end. Now, you are mind programmed. I have come to the conclusion that you are like the man in the Manchurian Candidate, that you were mind programmed by media because they have a self-destructive process that they were not aware of, because they don't have psychotherapists either. And they have a bunch of women in their ranks who have electric complexes, and a lot of men who have big daddy complexes, and also were themselves deprived of adequate breastfeeding. A lot of these men were raised by a series of nannies. They don't have good bonding. They don't love people very much. They like to manipulate them, but they don't love them very much. They don't have love inside developed. You might say that aspect of their thinking process, their thought forms, as my friend who introduced me to Anne-Marie and Patricia Lynn, and also a part Native American who lives in Oregon, a Native American European, and you've heard from her a few times. She calls it thought forms, and the thought forms of the people in the media are manipulative, and they're also profoundly lemming-like. They do what are the ratings, what gets ratings. They're not thinking of the well-being of humanity. They're thinking of ratings, and they're also thinking of the various corporations that they're intertwined with, what's going to be good for their next month's bottom line. That's pretty much what the thinking is. It's very short term, and it's very, very dangerous now. So now I've explained this. I'm going to do the ceremony, and let me say, this includes all the people that are pictured in that picture and more. All of the branches of all the Shekinah that have ever been married into or connected to by friendship, collegiality, classroom connections, buildings shared, neighborhoods shared, any sharing. All of the Shekinahs that have been interacting with the Margilis, the silver-kind becomes silver golden-kind. The Zalkin becomes Zal Goldenkind, and the Feldmarian. All of these become golden families as they know their value. You become the fields of gold. And what do I mean of gold? I mean of the golden rule. I don't mean cash gold. I don't mean Midas gold. I mean the gold of ultimate power, the power of love. Okay? Now, I am, and so many of you are, direct descendants of Maryam of Magdala and Jesus of Nazareth's family. And I've also said many times that Maryam Lambert and Tom Lambert Payne very likely were the resurrected siblings of Jesus Christ. And that word Christ, let me say, we should also be calling her Maryam of Magdala Christ. Just because she wasn't tied up on a cross doesn't mean she wasn't crucified. She was crucified because people ignored her and then defamed her. So she was crucified too. So, and being crucified is not the test of being Christ. Christ simply means anointed in Greek. It doesn't mean you have to get crucified to be Christ. You don't. You have to know that you have divine within you and help other people to regain that. That's what it's all about, to be anointed. You can do it. You have the new millennial golden rule. So now I'm going to do the ceremony. I'm going to show the pictures of the people, okay, that I always show of the place that we are traveling back to in time as the likely opening of the Stargate, which is our great and grandmothers' generations of this place that exists from likely the 20s, 30s, and 40s in Chicago, in the heartland, and gathered women from all the neighborhoods around, and actually likely many cultures came in, and they came also with their females and males of youth and children, both. And they all talked, and they were trying on hats. And we say now, looking back, they needed to be trying on the hats of the Statue of Liberty, the goddess of Atlantis, a egalitarian civilization, not a patriarchal one, that was the most survived and a thriving civilization that ever existed. And I'm just thinking for a minute. And today and tomorrow and the next few days, I am also going to be contacting somehow, either directly or indirectly, the most important rogue males affecting you, affecting this family, and particularly affecting my sister. But all of you. Some of you have some other rogue males that are involved. And I'm going to be contacting them because you cannot be out of commission like this. You cannot be out of connection like this. So I'm showing that the scene, and I'm going to play the tape. The men need to know that you're endangering them, that your mind programming to wait for some indefinite time for parity is endangering them. They don't quite understand that you are endangering them by your vacuum. That's endangering them. And I know that I got this extreme signal that was occurring. The universe showed me, and it showed me that I'm, in a sense, maybe even a little bit too late. But I believe the universe will always turn back time if people turn into the right direction. I really believe that. I have learned that the universe recalibrates and willing to give it even another year. If they see that people are doing the right things, they'll let the bees and the butterflies recover. They'll let a relationship or an emotional problem or a physical problem heal. The universe has a way. If people show that they understand, see, it's all connected, and the universe works back and forth in time. It isn't linear in time. The universal time is very relative and relational. So if we can understand this well enough, I think it is not too late. But it's getting very close. Maybe it is. You might say we've passed the first band of protection. We're already past it. We're into almost beginning free fall now. But there is still the ability to come back around and do the right way. So I'm going to play this tape.
And then she said she couldn't be the maid for everybody. You just know she was there. That's when she came back and started to sell plants with the great center. Her whole love was to have her children there. She didn't. Her son was so happy just to get along, get enough to eat. She was careful, very careful. And there was a sister, Clara.
Okay, and now I'm going to turn the camera back on the website, on the broadcast, so you can see me. And again, after today, I will be doing these in a very abbreviated way for a day or two, until I catch up with what I really have to do to address some of these rogue men and the women who are most caught in the division of this family, the women who are most promulgating this division. I pray that God will give me a day or two to go back and recalibrate what I have missed by my slowness. I was doing too many broadcasts for too long and taking the time away from other forms of outreach which have to be done. So I'm going to do that, and let's do this ceremony right now. All of the women, all the great and grandmothers whose picture you saw, and all of the women who are their younger Shekinahs currently in their middle ages, mostly middle age, age 38 and above, and all of the young Shekinahs and the young Shekinahs, age 37 and younger, below age 38, but 37 and younger. And I'm being a little bit generous with that time. It really is 37 and younger. 37 and younger is the closest ballpark that I could come to having our ability to get out of this terrible mess that we're in. For all of us, people cannot have indefinite time to merble around, and God is giving me that signal myself, that I have made errors and I've been merbling around with the right general idea but not quite pulling it off. And that's why this is going on, and also because you're not cooperating with me, which is, you see, it's interactive. While you're not cooperating with me, I'm overwhelmed. I'm a human being too, even though I have a lot of divinity within me. I'm a human being too, and it impacts me that you're so off-putting to me. And I'm trying to help you, and you're impacting me in the negative way. And that I do have, there's quite a bit of literature on how that affects the human hormonal system and all kinds of stuff. You're tiring me, and I have to overcome the tiredness that you're causing me. And when you do that, you're tending yourself toward death. All these terrible things, you're making it more difficult for me to keep up with the pace of what I have to do, because you're not cooperating as a team, and you're giving too much to one person to do. And so it's slowed down, and you're now dragging yourself down into a vortex, which is horrific. Here comes Kitty Cat. So I'll say, the light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and water. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. Oh, I don't know if I said the hearing, Defending Your Life was one of the films, and I'm going to take my life and show how my own embeddedness in patriarchy endangered other people, because they were more embedded than I was. And my problem was I did not know how embedded in patriarchy they were. I assumed a gender fairness in other people that did not exist, because I had it. And so when I was what I call premature egalitarian, before I went through the reparative stage with women, I actually dragged people back toward patriarchy without planning to and without wanting to. It was never my intention to do that. But it's what happened because the other people were already deeply embedded in patriarchy and I didn't know. Okay, so we did the light. I'll do that one more time. The light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers and water. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. So, and we'll say, the light is on in all our hearts. We have with us marvelous, miraculous, budding, blooming flowers. Hugs and love to all, both in each and every one, as soon as possible. Namaste. The divine within me greets the divine within you, which is diminished when you're stuck in patriarchy. It diminishes your balance, so you don't have the divine processes working right. So you want to get the balance by repairing the divine feminine. And Mitakuya Oyasin, Mitakuya Kosevirall. We are all related. I do call Anna Marie and her mother, Ma Patricia, every day. They know I'm continuing. They know I'm not giving up. And they know that they can rely on me. And you need to know it too. But I don't want to fail because nobody's cooperating with me. Anna Marie and her mother, Ma Patricia, are taking a little bit of rest time to kind of ward them down by not coming and recognizing their efforts. So they need a little rest time. And frankly, we're getting close to being out of time. So, you know, you have to understand, when you don't cooperate with people who are reaching out to you and have something important to do, you have an impact that's negative. So let's overcome that. Now, we know you're under the sway of testosteronitis. You all have, many of you have older men who are supervisors or father figures or something in your family or community system that you're dealing with on a daily basis and not recognizing that that interaction is affecting you. It is affecting you. It's affecting you wrongly. You have to overcome it. And you have to stay away from those guys for a while until you can redeem the situation via the new millennial golden rule and the cooperation that you can do to this. Otherwise, you're going to be in the worst situation. And I'll drink the milk of human kindness for all, both in each and everyone, as soon as possible. Especially talking right now, Julianne Marie and many of the women in this family tree didn't have optimal breastfeeding experiences. Many of them are educated to try to help other people to overcome that. And so I think it's very important that Jennifer and Julianne Marie and Marion and Ivy and Barbara and some of you who have expertise in this area, whether it's personal or educational, have interest in this area, have reason to do something transformative in this way, do it now. Cooperate with each other. So we drink the milk of human kindness for all, both and each, and anyone has this experience, so we all have qualifications for it. We drink the milk of human kindness for all, both and each, and everyone as soon as possible, and representing all, both and each and everyone as soon as possible. All the people in the picture I showed you, you know their names. I've said their names on many, many recordings. They're on the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 recording. For the most part, I might have left a few out, but they're mostly there. So I'm drinking that. And I drink this as Equinox True Qs, representing you all as Equinox True Qs, co-saviorats, co-secretary generals. People whose allegiance is to all people and to your planet. You recognize that all people are divine. You recognize that the people that you are clustered with in your family constellations are particularly important to you, and who share your surnames or other important activities in your life, like neighbors or friends or classmates or colleagues. Those people are very important. Goddess God does not, like it's been said by the Merrick Einstein family, Goddess God does not play dice with the universe. You are placed with people for either good or ill, and it becomes good when you identify the need for parity instead of patriarchy, and they identify that with you. Then it becomes good. Okay? So we drink the milk of human kindness for all, both and each and everyone as soon as possible. And now we'll drink the water of enlightened, loving, living planets that will regain and sustain all our planet Earth and Earth's to be, past, present, and future. And again, with the milk, it's also past, present, and future, and with the water, past, present, and future, for all, both, and each, and everyone, as soon as possible. Now, I want to say a particular apology. I'm going to make an apology right now on behalf of my family. Vanessa's family has been kept out of the loop here. They're not even receiving emails to the mother, and the ones to the daughter, I'm not sure what's going on with that. And they're very important. Hadass and her mother are very, very important to all of you. I can't emphasize this enough, and so is Soma and her mother. And so is Stacy Anastasia and her mother. And the sons, Julia Marie and Harlan Lewis Leviz, and Mary and Ross, and Meredith and Marcel. And Soma and Meredith and Marcel, that's a sister-brother pair. And then we've got some other sister-brother families that are a little bit older. They're past 38 now, and they missed their opportunity, and we have to reclaim those people. That's some of the people that I attempted marriage with, and the situation there is not good. And one of the reasons why we're in this muddle. And it's because I made the mistake to marry too soon. It was my fault. You might say it really was my fault. I was premature egalitarian. And also other errors that I made in not visiting Chicago enough. These were my errors, and I made them. So that's why I say I'm defending my life on the hearing. I myself made huge errors, and however, I'm making less errors than everybody else. Far less errors than everybody else. And if everybody else simply did what I did, and I'm doing right now, if everybody else simply said whatever errors any of us had made, if we just declare the new millennial golden rule and parity instead of patriarchy, all the danger will evaporate and everyone will be okay. It's very simple. It's like holding up, a shield against a poison. Just say those words to everybody you know. Parity, not patriarchy, past, present, and future, and you're all set. Parity, not patriarchy, past, present, and future. You handled the problem. To one fell swoop is like a magic aspirin. You say parity, not patriarchy, past, present, and future. Yeah, okay. And you really have to say, and repair the women. repair the divine feminine. So those are the phrase words. Repair the divine feminine, past, present, and future, parity, not patriarchy. That'll take care of the problem. And we also want to hold up the cakes. We're holding up the cakes, and we'll say, we'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together, past, present, and future. And as Equinox True Qs, co-severas, co-secretary generals. If there's anyone you know who should be hearing this number on this line, give it to them. If you think they'll be motivated to for constructive purpose. If they don't have access to a computer, I want most of you who have a computer to see it on the computer. It's much better, but that's why I'll put it on the stereo line too. And we'll again hold up the cakes. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together. And who am I including? I instead of giving all the names of the women individually, let me just say some of the family names that are connected. And where I don't know the mother's maiden names, I'll just say the name of the mother. We're including all of the women of the Margulian line, all of the women and all of their youth, females and males aged 37 and younger, past, present, and future. That you know who that includes. You've heard me say the names of all the women, especially Ray and Clara and Harriet are very, very important. It's Harriet. And little Ya, if we can help her out of patriarchy. Julianne Marie and I, the breach there has to be healed, or all of these horrors will continue and get worse and much worse. If Julianne Marie and I can heal your breach, heal our breach, and any of you can be Kazinas and Kazina sisters to us well enough to assist that. Any of you, anyone, say to both of us, you or your sisterhood is important and we're glad you're both here. Then this will get better. It is that Julianne Marie and I live in a society in which that has been ignored. And it's because the society is so individualistic that it can't recognize the importance of this. I'm getting a beep in. Hold on. May I assist you? May I assist you? Okay, there's no one there. And of course, Nisa and Lynn also. That's another very... Nisa's name is Niece for a reason. Nisa is a very key person in this because this has to do aunts and nieces within the patriarchal family plan. It doesn't work, and it affects aunts and nieces as well as mothers and daughters. So nieces are very important, and so we'll include all the Margulian family. All of the Silver Kindian become Silver Golden family. That includes everyone from Antoinette and all of her branches, and Lillian. You know, you've heard me say Thelma and all the Lee and Jennifer, Sherry and Batya and Helene. There's a lot more on that branch. I'm not going to go through all the names right now because I want to do this faster. We want to do also the Zalkindian branches. We have Rose with Mary, her mother, and Julianne Marie and I are also on that branch. And we have also Marcia, and we have Denise, and there's other Rebecca, some other young ones on that branch. And we also have, most importantly, really connecting first and foremost to the Feldmarian branch, is the Feldmar branch. Soma and Meredith, and there are Vedanta and Giselle, and Barbara and Rachel Marie and Danielle Juliet. We have a lot of these famous Margulian family. There's a lot of famous Margulian family, and there's semi-famous Feldmarian family, semi-famous Silver Kindian family, who have recently done very important things. Susan and all of her sisters, and Beth Ann, all of these people. All of us, all of are included, and also all of the people who have ever been our classmates, our neighbors, our colleagues, all of these people are definitively included, and we're granting parity first and foremost to them, and all of their great and grandmother Shekinas that have ever lived, all of their Kazinas that have ever been, starting with them. Now they're all goddesses, okay, and I'm going to show up the, I'm going to do the kissing in a minute. And now we're including all the women who are currently not only in relationship to their great-grandmothers, but in relationship to each other as horizontal peers. They're equally co-goddesses. They're a team. They can talk together in a circle. That's Julia Marie and Nisa and Marian and Julia Marie and Nisa and Barbara and Georgine and all. She could talk, and me, obviously, and Anne Marie and Ma Patricia. We can talk as a circle. We become goddess-like in doing that. Now we include our younger Shekinas and our Hikinas. We have to include Hadass and Rachel Marie and Danielle Juliet and Stacey Anastasia. And we have to include Halal and Ashira. But before I get to them, Stacey Anastasia, we have to include, I'm going to start with the Margolian and Feldmarian connection. Stacey Anastasia and Solma and Barbara, and I think I mentioned Rachel Anne Marie. And of course, their mothers are standing together, this group. And then we also have to include the young men. My nephew, who is my sister's son, Harlan Leviz, with all these young women in a circle, with Ross, who is Hannah, Mary's son, who is the daughter of Hannah, and on and on and on. Okay, and Marcel, who is Meredith's son, who is the grandson of Vedanta, and Giselle, with his sister, with Soma, all of this together in a group. And we say the New Millennial Golden Rule, and we say parity, not patriarchy. And then all of a sudden, all of these young, and let me also include, of course, Vanessa with her mother. That's very, very important. Vanessa and her mother and her aunt, aunts, if there's more than one, and the great-grandmothers of that family. And Vanessa with Harlan Leviz, they're a couple here, and that is the coupling of the friendship aspect and the erotic aspect to make an actual balanced marriage. If we don't do that for them, I tell you, your world will never work. It will not work. Because this is deep systems, and this is who our family really is. Now, if we've erred and we've gone too far and this has all fallen apart and any of these young people are already ill or sick or divided or no longer friends, and I'm also including some other young women in this, Harriet and Margaret, who live in the, Margie, who live in the area there in Chicago, and Seema, another one who lives in the area in Chicago. If any of these people have already been adversely affected, it's something that's gone wrong in their relationships or in their own physical or mental or any kind of well-being, I believe it's recoupable within a very short period of time, maybe by the end of March. If we get past that point, that's when this world will be without redemption, and it will be canceled by the Mother, Father, Goddess, God. Because we are a key family and the keystone of the human family tree. We go back to Atlantis, and we go back to the ancient Israel, birthplace of both Judaism and Christianity. We also go into France and that central area of Europe and the Balkan area. You just can't. And we also connect to ancient India, and therefore to Asia and all of Asia. So if you don't include us properly and we don't do the right thing, the whole planet is going to be maladaptive and at best have a very short span of horrible time before it's over. So because it is my belief that Mother, Father, Goddess, God will not allow us to become so depraved and sociopathic and spread us around the universe. I don't think that they will allow that. I believe that the Mother, Father, Goddess, God always shines light, and although there is dark places in the universe and dark holes, black holes, that is not where life will be sustained. So we have to do this. And we also include, I've also neglected to mention Lynn and Jennifer and all those children on that branch, and also Rachel and Carrie, the Alexander Sagan connection there of the Margolian and the Alexander Sagan, and Sweet connection is there. So now, so I've named all these people. Let me just do the pictures. I think that I do the cakes. I'm not sure if I did the cakes yet. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together, past, present, and future, as equinox true cues. And we'll start with our spring and around the equinox days of all these types, including also our autumnal ones, which is also spring in the southern hemisphere. This includes mine that you've been forgetting. And if you forget your deliverer's birthday, you don't get delivered. So you have to include me, and as well with my sister. There's 2 sisters here in this family, and we have Sister Casina's around this time too. Anna Marie also has her birthday around this time. We have to include this. And her mother also has it around that time. We have to include this. And then we do all, Ma Patricia, we also include, we say this again, holding the cakes this way. We'll celebrate and re-celebrate all our birthdays, conception days, name days, and holy days together, past, present, and future. As equinox true cues, all of this as equinox true cues, Co-Secretary General's Co-Savioraz. So make sure you see that both ways. As equinox true cues, Co-Secretary General's Co-Savioraz. Now, I'm not letting go of you, but if you continue to endanger me by not helping me, the universe will let go of all of us. That's all that's going to happen. We'll go through devolution and then destruction. You can have a quick destruction or a horrible one, and slow. Which is your preferred? And now I'm doing the pictures, the consciousness currencies. You know they're on the website. Your pictures are all on the website, have been for a long time. You've been sent them. You don't even comment on them. You know, when I send you emails now, some of you, they're not showing up anymore because the software of the email provider is wearing out from repeated sendings, and nobody responds. I've been doing something wrong, clearly, in my approach with you. I've been speaking to you as if you could get it. Your brain programmed, your mind washed. There's something wrong that you're not figuring this out. And I think it's because you all have testosterone poisoning. So stay away from older men until you figure this out. Okay? And now here's our larger family tree. You've seen this a bunch of times, and I'm certainly going to do this ceremony entirely at least once a day. It has to cover you all. I try to do it at various hours. I don't always accomplish that, but that really shouldn't be necessary anymore because without your cooperation doesn't mean much. You don't get much out of it if I'm just doing it alone. And I do it all the time. And I do it for you in my heart every minute, every day. So it's constantly being done. We must heal this sister breach. This sister breach is the big fault line. And if it's just me reaching out to my sister and she never reaches back to me, that is also, it's not exactly a breach, but it's also very dangerous because it's a skew. It's a terrible skew. And it's a dangerous skew, and it's leading into evil and a devolutionary process. Instead of just a big breakup, there's also the potential of a devolutionary process. And that is what is going on already. because this is a one-way story here, a one-way relationship, and the world cannot afford this. And it's also forced in that mode on our younger generations. And there's several mothers now doing that, a bunch of you, all doing that toward me. If you don't respond to me, your kids are all devolving. If they're not urgently endangered, they will be. And I mean all of you, even the ones who hate me. Your children are urgently endangered. And there are some women in this family who have, like a kind of like in the scorpion-like role, targeted me for relational aggression. And that's being discussed in the hearing. These are women who have life experiences that make them vulnerable to doing things like that. It's not that they do it on purpose. They don't know what they're doing. They really don't. Most people have only a small part of their intelligence conscious. A lot of it is unconscious and is habit pattern. So, you know, we have to just expose the general pattern, which is parity versus patriarchy. As soon as you start talking about that, the light begins to shine, the big dark clouds begin to disappear. Just say parity, not patriarchy, and even the worst of you doing the worst things can come out of it. And relationships can be reclaimed, and broken bodies can be healed, and broken minds can be healed. Just say parity, not patriarchy. And we'll do also, okay, this young couple, and including both sides of the women, the mothers and the aunts and cousines on these family trees. This is very important if you want eternal spring. This is the grouping that really gets you into eternal spring and life. But they can't do it. They can't do it. I won't say that. I really neglected to say that. I didn't say that right, because I really should say, and you've seen me on some of those other pictures I've sent you about the Eleusinian mysteries, that we have different young couplings. We have sisters and brothers. We have potential colleagues here among these younger women and men. Colleague friends, you might call them. Creative partners. Co-poets and poetesses and poetesses. Poets. Co-democracy bringers. Co-justice bringers. These young people have what it takes. I know them all. I know who they are. Look at them. And their mothers have what it takes, too, to be co-goddesses. I really need to say that first. Let me back up and say that first. My sister and I and Misa and Lynn and Barbara and Marion, and Julianne Marie, and Barbara, and what about Rachel, Alexandra and Juliana and Francesca? And how about Susan and Sarah and Jodine and Laura? Where are you? And all of these great and grandmothers have so much to be celebrated for. And there's more that could be pictured, obviously. So the Eleusinian mysteries gathered a lot of people. They usually gathered several thousand in the ceremonies. We have a lot of, and Georgine, let me say, oh, Georgine, will you wake up? And Anna Marie and Ma Patricia, they've done their job. They're waiting for you. You left them out on a limb. They're in here too. And a lot of other women. So, but this group is very, very important. That's why I always hold this up. And we have our young couples, our young colleagues. Okay, and they're on my line, and they're cousines, and all of them cousines to you. Cousines and young cousins. Why are you screwing each other up like this? Don't you know that you're important, or do you have to hold on to your little bit of patriarchal, this group that, I have a feeling that on each one of these branches, there's a small patriarchal group that has already affected you, that is giving you testosterone poisoning, where the women are particularly involved in relational aggression, where the women are particularly committed to division in order to fit in with an alpha male. Where that is where the real problem is. okay? And that's part of what I'm discussing in my branches of family, because that is occurring in my branches of family. But I don't delude myself that it's the only family that has that problem. If not, the United States would be a picnic. My family isn't the only family with this problem. It's all over the country. It's all over the world. It's intense patriarchy. And in the United States, it's coupled with individualism, so it's very dangerous. So let's overcome this and make our circle. And there's also some other families that I should really mention as particularly important. Neighbor and other families that came into this family. Kabbalah and Goldbergian and Malarian and others that are coming through on several branches, actually. Several branches that have these surnames. And Sweet is very important, and I can't say that enough. And obviously Satan. And so let's say we did our pictures, and now we'll say we'll start fresh. We're going to start fresh. We'll start fresh with all our parity instead of patriarchy. Our parity of our planets, all our planets on this and all our planets, and our patriarchy said goodbye to past, present, and future. We're going to re-understand our past and why there were so many wars and diseases, and start crediting the women who would have prevented it had they not been decimated. You know how many million of women were killed during the Middle Ages as witches? There must have been hundreds of thousands. What would the world have been like had that not occurred? And that kind of thing is occurring right now. It's occurring in the Middle East. And it's already occurred in Asia with the in vitro unnatural selection, where they didn't allow baby girls to be born because they weren't preferred. Do you see what has occurred here? We're in a condition of a profound skew. It couldn't be worse. So that's why all of you who are not answering me have to answer me, and you have to answer each other, and you have to act like a circle and stop the skew, or we're all going over into evil and into death. And I will simply have failed. You know, I'm willing to say, I'm trying to be a Messiah. I'm trying to be your co-savior and give you the way to be that yourself. I'm trying to be a true Q. If you don't want me to be, if you really, in your heart of hearts, want to just destroy everybody and everything by passivity, then that's what you're doing. So don't do that. Let's be co-secretary generals, true Qs, co-secretary generals, co-secretaries, equinox, true Qs. We have a great time. That you want eternal life for the universe? Is it that you can't think of pleasure, of learning, of fun, of camaraderie, of peace, of happiness? Is it that you can't get your mind together to think that you might have that? You can have that. Okay, so so that's the ceremony. Have I done everything with the ceremony? Oh, no, I have to add this portion of it. Let's do it this order this time. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. We'll say all the blessings and all the greetings and all the languages and all the heritages of our earth and our earth's past, present, and future together. As co-secretary generals, co-seviras, equinox true Qs. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious will say all the blessings and all the greetings of all the heritages of our earth and our earth's past, present, and future as equinox true Qs, co-seviras, co-secretary generals. You want to call it Couszmic Christ. I've come to understand that for this culture, that's a very loaded word. I like to avoid that word until we get past the patriarchal connotations of it. When we get past it, then we can actually have it and use it again. So we're going to get past the patriarchal habit associated with that word. But it means the same thing. It all means world savers who can give everybody eternal life in the light of love power. Okay, that's what it means. So love powers, solar love powers. So that's our ceremony. Now, this was a kind of another upbeat little sunny time. We're not in a sunny time. We're on the verge of plutonic horror. We're already in it. How would you like to have been a bee colony that disappeared? Do you think that's fun? How would you like to be a plankton that's gone? Maybe that's how you'll come back. By ignoring all this, maybe that's how you'll come back in your next life. Or you can have eternal life as a human being with the divine aspects of incredible power of space-time travel and enjoy this and all other planets and continual learning and loving of all the people that you know with mutual respect. You could also have that. Which do you want? So that's going to be my broadcast, and I'm going to put it on mute now and just do a few specific messages that are important for me and that I hope that you know are important for you, because they're the people who I am supposed to have a strong bond to. And they are supposed to have a strong bond to me. Now, this is a very skewed relationship in too many of these situations, and there are some people who I'm not reaching properly. And that is very, very dangerous. So make sure I have everybody's contact information. I don't mind holding you up. I'm a big Statue of Liberty lady. I don't mind holding you up. But I do mind you're not valuing it and you're not trying to cooperate. Oh, I mind it. I mind it, and I'm going to definitely tell the alpha men in your lives that the women are endangering them. They are endangering their children. The women who are playing these games with relational aggression and mutual avoidance are endangering the men also, because all those men can look forward to at best is Soylent Green. Is that what you want to give to men? That they can cannibalize each other for a couple of hundred years after the females disappear and then they all be gone? Because that's what you're giving to them. Patriarchy has reached the point of no return. You have to let it go. Parity, not patriarchy. I'm going to make some outreach calls. I'm doing this publicly. This one. I'm calling Nisa.
I know your messages.
Nisa, this is Reall on Broadcasting. People heard your answer machine. I have told 2 major radio stations in the Chicago area that there are 2 extreme dangers confronting people from within Illinois. One is the danger of a nuclear power disaster and an earthquake in Illinois, or a human failure related nuclear disaster. And there are some related ones that could be co-occurring in our family community system on other places in North America. There are some co-occurring issues. Your family, the family, through the Sweets, through the Sztate branches, is related to the Margulies family. The Margulies family is the family of everything is interconnected. I have given your name, my sister's name, Marion, Julia Marie, Marion, and Georgine, another woman who knows my sister and lives near my sister and my nephew, and the young woman who he's seeing, Vanessa. And all of the women, now we have some other women on these trees, on the Margulies, and it's also related to a bunch of other interrelated family. It's all genealogy here. That all of these women, by cooperating with me, can prevent not only the nuclear power plant disaster, but also a sudden and terrible dip in the bees and the butterflies and other important part of the human, of the natural food chain for food. That will occur for sure if you do not cooperate with me. I have put this message out all over Chicagoland. I am not trying to embarrass you. I'm trying to empower you. And my sister. Well, that message was imperfect, but at least you know I've left it for her. Now, I left you. You've been seeing me. I've been leaving messages to Julianne Marie and Marion and Soma and her mother, who I don't have a direct connection with, but I mean them for her, and I think they know, and I think they know about these broadcasts. I think Meredith knows how to watch this. And all of these women, Georgine also has access to a computer now, and Marie and her mother certainly know about them. If you continue in this passive mode, God is going to start canceling you. I mean, there's going to be some form of disasters. And even the situation with the GMOs and the butterflies and the birdies and the bees. There's other things that can happen that can affect them that are not just the GMO slow thing. You could have a terrible drought. You could have a terrible series of thunderstorms and tornadoes. Mother Nature is not being protected by you. So you have to get your act together and start coming and co-hostessing in the circles here. Okay, and there's other women involved too. So let's get this, and then we can bring their younger people. We ought to be bringing Hadass and Soma and Rachel Marie, Danielle, Juliet, Hillel. There's a bunch of them, and then also we do need to bring the young women with their brothers and their friends, and romantic friends too, like the young men that I've mentioned. If that doesn't come into play, all that's going to be left for these people, female and male, is horrible, horrible, horrible. They will have just horrible. That's all you're giving them, is horrible. You'll be giving them an unnatural world that won't last very long. Wake up, okay? Now I'm going to make some of these phone calls. These are, I believe, I think I don't want to put too much pressure on the members of my own family. I think that they are subject to over self-blame. There's other members of my family, particularly the men, and I didn't mention all the older men that are working through me very positively. Julian, Alan, Emil, Oscar, Paul, and the younger brothers of Joseph and Milton and Carl are working through me. They are working through me. They want to come through the stargates too. But if you can't get the balance with the divine feminine risen, the divine masculine has no chance. And you've ruined it, and you've just made it demonic and destructive and gone. So what are you doing? I don't understand. What are you doing? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to figure it out. What I'm doing, that I'm not motivating you more properly, and it's not working. I'm trying to figure it out. I have figured out some things, and it takes me time to do them. So this will be for a while after today, you will not have a long ceremony like this. It will be very brief. I'll show the symbols of the elements of the ceremony and say all the usual names and just leave it at that. So you know we're sort of we'll do a shorthand in the future for a few days until I catch up with other tasks that must be done. Especially confronting the older men. Who are the older men I want to confront most? I already have done it to some extent, but none of the other women will be willing to do this. Leslie. Back up. Dr. Strauss. Dr. Strauss. Dr. Strauss. Leslie. Truth Stevens. Reall. And a man who I call Scott, because I don't even want to use his first name. They went down toward over-patriarchy or toward nihilism. Some of them are patriarchal, some of them are just nihilistic. They don't care about anything anymore. They weren't patriarchal to begin with, some of these men, but you have driven them into a society which is patriarchal, in which their egalitarian impulses are now falling on deaf ears among women. Those men are nihilistic now. That is not healthy for them either. The lack of connection among women is where I made a mistake in my process. I have to help you to regain it now. This is what I must do. And I'm also going to name another man, because he has impact, I know, on my own sister. And he is being endangered, and his children are being endangered by his very impact on my sister. Patriarchy is an interactive dance that females and males play with each other. Both play a role. Both roles are destructive. Parity is constructive and creative and sustainable. Patriarchy is destructive, demonic, plutonic, and planetricidal. Do you understand? I hope so. I hope you're watching this. And I'm going to send this now and then continue with some private messages to a few other people. Or I might make them public, but do some more individual messages. Okay, now, let me leave now I'm going to leave this. Take it off mute. Everything I've said to you, that I've given this to all the radio stations, to a whole bunch of radio stations in Chicago, about how our family and our community of women can stop enormous danger by the means I've already talked with you about many, many times. This has gone out to all a huge Chicago audience and other audiences. Actually, they go beyond Chicago. Some of these programs go beyond Chicago. But it's definitely, they do reach the Chicago audience. Now, you can only do that with me, and I've made that very clear. You have to do that with me, or it won't work. Because of who I am. I'm a true Q. So I'm broadcasting this. People see this. Now I'm putting it on mute again. I'm going to leave it on the mute, open. I have to deal with the alpha males in our family system because none of the women are dealing with it properly. In fact, some of the women are inciting alpha males to alpha male behavior, and as a result, you're sitting on these terrible disasters. I've talked about it with all the people involved who can prevent it at the legal level. I don't know that they will, because frankly, it's being caused by a family process problem. So only you and I and Nisa and Georgine and Marion and Barbara and Jennifer, the daughter of the mother of the Gaia effect, and a couple of other women can do this to start with. And then we also have to bring in the younger generations. We have to bring in their daughters and their sons. That includes your son, my nephew. Or is the need to keep this separation so extreme that you will put millions of people in danger for it? I don't believe that of you. I don't believe that of you. I think you're a smart woman, and you know I'm a very smart woman. You know I'm not a dummy, and you know I'm not crazy. You know that I have the insights of Americ Einstein. Okay? You know I have the insights of a Lynn Margulies, only on a different level of system. Okay? And I'm holding up those budding blooming flowers and the heart light again, the heart light and the budding blooming flowers, and the milk. The milk. You need milk, Julianne. Marie. I'm holding up the milk. There it is. The kitty cats are here, and I say the names of our great and grandmothers. You can hear the big ceremony on 2345, 2345. I did it a little shorter, and for the next few days, I'm going to do it a little shorter. And these are I'm not going to leave you such long messages. You know why? Because I have to deal with the other aspects of system that you have not been dealing with. You've got a bunch of old men that you're not dealing with properly, and they have to be dealt with properly. So I have to do that. And if you think you're protecting them, you're not. Don't try to protect them, because you're killing them and their children if you try to protect them. These disasters will affect them. Their kids could be irradiated and have no food. And it won't be your fault, dear. It isn't your fault. People have been immersed in patriarchy for thousands of years. They've suffered all kinds of wars and diseases and epidemics and every kind of problem and ill, and they never identified the cause until now. You just look at the work of Robert Salovey on alpha males' impact on a tribe of baboons. You start to understand what anthropology is telling us quite clearly about alpha males and women's haremization such that they don't connect well with each other. It's telling us quite clearly how it's directly related to disease and all kinds of things that we worry about in war. It's absolutely crystal clear in the anthropology. I don't need to be intuitive, and I don't need to say I'm anything in relationship to comparative religion, which I am, but I don't need to say all that. I just need to be enough of a social scientist to say this has already been shown. And I need to say to you that we have social psychology and family therapy that are developments of psychology and therapy that can heal the problems that are involved here. So isn't that what you were studying to be a psychologist for? Why don't you go back to that? You have that ability. You have the heart light, darling. You have it, okay? I'm broadcasting this. If you try to leave me out of this equation, you will wind up with terrible disaster. And the universe will start culling all of our family. And not just our family, everybody's family. I'm telling you this as fact. Now, I've called Nisa, and I told her that I broadcasted radios and included her name and your name and the names of all these other women, including Marion. And I've told Marion this too. I've told Barbara this. I've told them. Now we're going to have to see who comes out from behind the rock that they're hiding under. And you've got a little Scorpio hiding under a rock who is a human being too and deserves sympathy and compassion. But she doesn't offer anyway, and any because she's so involved in denying her own capabilities, so she has mother wounds of her own and huge issues. Well, she needs therapy. Come on. Get this. These people need therapy. And the older men need some breaks on them. And they need to be more caring toward all their Shekinah, more respectful toward all their Shekinah, and teach that to younger people. They all need that. And I've got several men that I'm working on that issue. Let me be absolutely clear. And I presented them here. And one of them is my ex, and of course there are also the other members of our family tree, Leslie and both Stevens that you've been interacting with, and even Blake, who doesn't understand. And you're making sure he doesn't understand, aren't you? You're making sure. I know you little eagle girls. You all have electric complexes and you know what you're doing. Why don't you spend some time talking with some therapists once in a while? You might get a clue as to the fact there's something a little wrong with that profession. With all their individualism that they don't know that things are connected. No relational understanding, just individualism, you know. That's where the problem is. So I'm going to, I have to get going. I'm going to say Donnie Ruffles and Mari Rainbow Sweetheart, Mari Rainbow Sweetheart and Donnie Ruffles. Say hi and hugs to Heather and Jam and Heather. Did I say the names of all our great-grandmothers? Grandma Papa, Grandma Margulies, Ray, Clara, Sarah Harriet, with Lily Ya, with Lillian Gay, with Ma Patricia and Anne Marie, with Precious Antoinette and Rose and Grandma Grandma Marie and Grandma Popper and Dorothy and all of them, and also the names of the men of our family. And I want you to hear it first on the bigger ceremony I did. It's on 2345, and the men's names are way at the end, but they are there. And I love you, and Donnie Ruffles and Mari Rainbow Sweetheart, and Donnie Ruffles. Say hi and hugs to Heather and Jam and Heather on behalf of Whiskers and Tiger and Holly and Tiger and Buttermilk and Blackie and Buttermilk, and all the people, all the flora and the fauna, all the furry friends and pets, including those big white dogs that we have here, the big female and male. And you had a little white dog for a while. Let's bring her through the Stargate too, like Toto. And all the people too of our local, global, universal neighborhoods as Equinox, True Q's, co-secretary generals. You can call me 24/7. If you think you know what you're doing, you're really nuts. Look at the state of your society under the people you've been hanging out with. It is falling apart, sinking like the Titanic. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And let's get this going with these women, and I'll connect you with them, and you'll connect me with men, and we'll do that. All you need to do is get on a cell phone with Georgine. Start with that. Every blessing.
To save this message, press 1. Your greeting has been saved. To change extension type, press 1. To record extension name, press 2. To manage greeting, press 3. To hear messages recorded in this extension,
Okay, that's our broadcast for today. Now we're getting rather overt about it. We want to get these women mobilized to start connecting. This is beyond the pale. It's too risky. They've already hurt clearly some of our younger people. I really have gotten that clear message from the universe, and it's really very bad now. And I'm late in doing this, so the universe is, I'm hoping, giving me grace from my putting up with this crap too long.